Hey, bubbling, coming in, crushing this art. Hey, we're right back at it again with the last sign of summer. We're almost to fall. Straight up. Alright, so let's go straight into it. Another mutable sign. So, first off, this is someone, Virgo rising, someone just like I said with Gemini. Even if they're Saturn, even if they're Sun, even if they're Moon, even if they're Ascendant, I was going to say, but obviously they're Virgo Ascendant. That's so funny. Even if all of this are in fixed placements, this guy wants to figure out how to come out that fixed place that they're involved with in a new way. They don't want to do the same thing, right? They want to figure out a new way to come about it. Being mutable and adaptable. They're not kind of like, they're not just coming from like themselves. They're being receptive on what the situation needs, cardinal versus mutable, and they're not just in their way, like fixed, right? They're receptive, so on new ways to do things, straight up. All right, so this would be someone personally that likes to understand how things work. Mutable Earth, Virgo, Mercury over Earth, understanding how things work. So yeah, straight up, this would be someone that could worry a lot, but also could get things done. And the reason that they'd worry a lot is because when you understand how things work, you understand how they break down. You're like, oh shit, like, is that going wrong? Is that going wrong? Is that going wrong? But at the same time, if you learn a balance, right, if you learn a solid equilibrium, then you can balance that out and you can really make things shine because you do understand how things work. And, yeah, like whatever you're mechanically involved into, whether this is thoughts, whether this is mechanics, whether this is like psychology, whatever you're really trying to break down mechanically, you could really get to know. But at the same time, there would also be insecurity like around that because you know that you could not know. If that makes sense. So anyway. So then if we go to the 7th house, so this would also be someone that it would more so be, anxiety about solid things, like anxiety about things breaking down, but this wouldn't be someone that is really in their feelings, it's someone that is in their feelings based off of what's going on physically. So it'd be like a grounded person, but so grounded to the point where if the ground's shaky, they're freaking out, right? So yeah, still can like freak out, still got feelings. We all got feelings. So Pisces is the 7th house, so 1st versus 7th. So this would be someone that learns in their relationships to get involved in things emotionally, like, and go with the flow and kind of pick up a little bit of everything emotionally. So it's almost like, yeah, they're so used to just being grounded about the practical elements that the Pisces in their 7th house people are going to learn, hey, like, you should learn what people are feeling about this. You should learn not necessarily just about the logic, but about how people react and respond to things, like be more mutable, be more wise, you know what I mean? Like Virgo could get lost in something just because they want to understand it, but it could not actually have any long-term benefits. And in their relationships, like Pisces energy, there would be a lot of things about like getting sucked into things emotionally, either their one-on-one peers or them, like they'd get sucked up into that relationship to where it would teach them what actually they need to care about emotionally, right? So whereas like personally it's like they could just get lost in a little bit of everything because they just want to know, not necessarily like want to know how to create good or want to know how to create bad. They just want to know, right? It's just kind of like power, for better or worse. So yeah, that would be what they would learn in their one-on-one relationships. So if we go to the 4th house versus the 10th house, their 4th house is Sag, so privately they want to develop new ways in seeing and feeling about things. So it's almost like personally they're kind of calm, cool, and collected, and so are they publicly. But when it comes to their private life and their one-on-one relationships, this is where things get deep for Virgo risings. So yeah, in their private life, it seems like they're doing a lot, or a lot's going on, to where there's probably like a lot probably happened. Or a lot probably happens like on their inner circle to where like it can be a lot, but also there's a lot to learn from, or they get caught up in doing a lot in their inner circle to where there's a lot they need to learn from, like the Sagittarius. So then if we go to the 10th house, this would be Gemini. So it's it kind of makes sense. It's almost like Virgo's like, what do I want to do? Like I could do this, I could do that, but I'm not sure. So it does seem like, though, like I was talking about with Gemini rising, that this would be someone that comes at life very airy, like very oh, it doesn't really matter if it's good or bad, you know, I just want to learn, like, just power, right? But then, when they're with their private life and their one-on-one relationships, there are so many experiences that are teaching them about what matters, like, what's good, not just what's cool, or what, like, mechanically works, or what's power, but what's good, like, what they resonate with, and what's good to them, right? Like, what's good to someone's not good to everyone else. That's why, like, evil people love bad things. So, but either way, like, there's a lot of experiences that teach them what's good to them. So to where, like, Virgo and Gemini almost, they come at it with this start with this very, like, non-existent sense of morality, but then with all these experiences, it's almost like they're forced to think through one. It's kind of what it seems like to me. So yeah, but then in their 10th house, it's almost like they could just do whatever, you know what I mean? Gemini, like, they could do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it is a communicative house, so it's almost like they'd be really good at sharing things publicly or communicating publicly, so yeah. Which would kind of make sense, because if they just understand how some things work, they could have that kind of anxiety about it, but they would be able to break it down step by step and be receptive to questions, right, Gemini, and just, like, be there for everybody. Like, if someone wants to know about that, hey, I got you. Someone wants to know about that, I got you. Maybe not extremely deep, but, you know, I can lead you in the right direction. So that would be fourth versus 10. So if we go to the second house versus the 8th house, this would be their second house would be Libra. So they value being able to generate ideas in a calm, cool, and collected way that matter, right? The Saturn element that actually make a difference. So yeah, this is someone that values communication, and not communication in like a Gemini way. Like, they do value, like, supporting what they love, right? Communicatively, Libra. So yeah, and then if we go to the 8th house, this would be Aries. So behind closed doors, it seems like a lot of shit just kicks off. Yeah, for Virgos, like just the Aries there, like the selfish acting, like behind closed doors, they're gonna do them, and that could cause issues. But there shouldn't really be anyone else really behind closed doors, right? So it seems like that with the cold stuff, with mystic stuff, with unseen stuff, or with just stuff that's behind closed doors, unseen. They just stick to their guns. Versus, like, they really do value, like, being able to support what they love, which isn't necessarily selfish. It's really, like, taking into account the things that you love, right? Their second house, what they value, being able to generate ideas and communicate with what they value in a solid way. Yeah, like, bring it up, the Saturn element. So yeah, that would be the 2nd versus the 8th. So if we go to the 5th versus the 9th, their 5th is Capricorn. Yeah, so they express themselves in developing new structures. Yeah, and that's what they're passionate about with the Mars Exalted. So they express themselves in developing new structures, which makes sense, being a Virgo. Yeah. So, and then the 11th house is Cancer. So it's like, this would be someone who could do a little bit of everything, but who they associate with, they really do want that to be someone that they can hold close. Like, yeah, the Cancer energy. Like, they really do want their associates to be people that they can go back to and just, like be welcomed into. Because it's almost like the 5th house is where they're really cold. Like, they're going to express themselves and just, like, getting this logic out there. But once they're actually, like, with a bunch of people and, like, kind of learning things and taking in energy with, like, the coworkers or people that are doing similar things, not necessarily close coworkers, but just people you associate with publicly, they want this to be like, they want this to be a good environment, or they're at least going to be attached to this place, like the Cancer energy. So yeah, like, they're not necessarily going to be attached, but when they're there, they're gonna feel it, right? The moon, they're going to be really receptive to it. So yeah, so hopefully that's pleasant. So that would be the 5th versus the 11th. Yeah, so if we go to the fixed houses, 3rd versus the 9th to start. The 3rd is Scorpio. So this will be someone that in their day-to-days are obsessive. So in the things that they just kind of like to do day-to-day, they're fixed on it, which kind of makes sense. Like, you think of Virgo would be someone that has that sort of structure. So in their day-to-days, like, if they write, if they make videos, if they're like working on something mechanically, and that's kind of always what they do, then the project that they're working on currently is going to be an obsession. Like, they're going to be obsessed in those like day-to-day things that they just like to do for themselves, right? All right, so then if we go to the ninth, this is Taurus. So to me, what this says is, like, they are going to have, like, a solid purpose, like a solid earthly purpose, and that could be for better or worse. So hopefully what they attach what they should be doing to is positive, because Taurus is very, like, fixed, right? But I think, honestly, that this wouldn't be a really negative placement, because if you think about the Virgo having all these experiences in their 7th house with people that are going through things emotionally and actually realizing that, hey, things have an emotional weight, you know, everything's not just fun and logic. And then in their 4th house too, like, they learn that too, like, hey, like, if I just get swept up in what I'm doing, like, people get burned. It seems like that would teach them kind of like a lot about what they resonate with, and so their purpose would be, like, 9th house Taurus is solid, fixed earth, so maybe they have more of a practical purpose, but hopefully they align that with their spiritual values. But it's almost like 9th house, what they want to do, or like what they really dream to accomplish, is kind of like one fixed thing, and it's not really changing like day to day. But at the same time, what they do publicly is always mutable. So it's always like they're kind of coming at it from, they're trying to do like this one thing, but they're always finding a new way to do it, which makes sense because they're an earth person, but they're mutable. So yeah, so that would be the 9th house versus the 3rd. Now if we go to the 6th house versus the 12th, the 6th house is Aquarius. So that would make sense. This would be someone when they're developing new ways of bringing something into existence, like taking care of a garden every day. Or like something breaks down and they got to figure out how to like denote time to working on that every day. But yeah, like bringing something into existence. When you have a new dream and you got to take step by steps every day to bring that into existence, and you just got to work for it. It's not necessarily the fun; it's the grind, right? With the grind sort of energy or the work sort of energy, with the just like pushing through the like turning the gears. This is where they're original. This is where they have the Aquarius energy. So this is where they don't need anyone else. They got it. And it is an air, so like hopefully like, but they're a Virgo. So I would say like maybe they're a little airy to the point where they might not worry about that. But at the same time, I feel like they're Virgo. So if something does break down, it's like they're gonna have their own individual way of coming at it, and it's not gonna be all over the place. It's fixed, right? It's Aquarius. So yeah. So it's just like they're gonna be an individual at work. If they're at like a day job, you know, a 9 to 5, or if they're trying to develop something new or something breaks down, they're gonna have like their own individual way of coming at it, because they never really like needed anyone else. They just kind of understood like the tools and the mechanics, so they put it together in their own way. So yeah, so that would be the 6th house, and then if we go to the 12th house, this would be Leo. So this, I mean, once there actually is a boundary, it's almost when they would start to like express themselves, when they would start to get other people in on it. It's almost like once there is a limit is when they start kind of wondering what other people are up to. Whereas like generally they kind of understand how stuff works, so that doesn't really matter, right? So yeah, so once they actually do develop a limit, or there's something they just gotta like sit with and go through, like a loss, or like, yeah, something breaks down and there is no fixing it, a loss. This is where they start to kind of wanting to understand what other people, like how other people take this sort of thing because of the Leo there. And they want to end up expressing that. So yeah, this would be Virgo rising, 1st, 7th, 4th, 10th, 2nd, 8th, 5th, 11th, and 3rd, 9th, 6th, 12th. Hey, bubbling. Coming in, crushing this art.